Well, welcome to another garden vlog, or should I say 2 garden vlogs. This is a special one today. We recorded 2, we haven't uploaded any, so we're just going to go ahead and upload 2 separate garden vlogs today. Hope you guys enjoy. Welcome to another garden vlog. And this is a tea camellia shrub in bloom. These are very pretty. They do have a smell to them. I don't know if they're like sweet or they're got like a grain smell to them. But surprise, surprise, I got a bowl here because Natalie wants another salad. Last video we made 2 salads for her, but now we got a big bowl. That's here. Not marijuana there. That's quinaf, if I'm pronouncing it right. Hibiscus, Suriname spinach leaves, ginormous jewels of opar leaves, tropical hibiscus leaves, Biden's alba, some green new growth mulberry leaves, some longevity spinach, sweet potato leaves. We're gonna kick it up a notch and put a new growth green piece of citrus. We'll probably cut that up in little bits here. Some Okinawa spinach. Check out that purple backside. A little bit of viola or wild violet leaves and a little bit of fresh green dewberry leaves. Tips. Hey, JJ, what is that?
It's the little MJ kitty.
Our new kitty cat, right?
Yeah.
Yay. A little bit of Biden's alba flowers. Young broccoli leaves. Some of these other little white mallow leaves. I don't know if you can see it, but way right there are Mexican Tithonias. They're probably 15, 17 foot high. That's on the raised bed one. Now, if I got close to them, I wouldn't be able to get a video without getting on a ladder or something. So this is the second plant I planted today. This is the Collier mulberry, which is a rooted cutting from Fruitwood Nursery. Hasn't done that great, so I said, well, put it in the ground. It'll either decline more or it'll get better and do okay. So we're in quite a bit of shade here. This is where we planted that vanilla persimmon there. So about 15 or 20 foot in that direction. You know, we got a little bit of sun coming through the canopy, but you know, this surprisingly, because this is where all these sweet gums are, that specific spot where we dug was really soft dirt. So hopefully it'll do okay there. At this point, everything is been experimental. We put things in maybe more shade than we would normally do it. We're kind of running out of those prime locations. I think the end of last season, we talked about, well, we're going to use other locations to plant, you know, whether it be fig trees, pears, or whatever, that we may have normally used as like a road to our back area, you know, to haul dirt or do other stuff with. We need to keep critical access points open, but non-critical ones, you know, like here that go to these raised beds, these kind of hugelculture hybrid raised bed systems. It's less critical to haul dirt here or whatever anymore. We got wagons, lawnmowers, all that good stuff. So the other thing we planted was, you know, and we're taking a big gamble, a little bit higher land than this, where we did those combination plantings with the Chinting persimmon. We did a fig and we did a couple avocados in that area, I think, which is nearby the only surviving grafted avocado, that Joey avocado that we have. And we didn't put it on a raised bed. We just used a little cupful, 2 cups of magic soil to put in there, hoping it's not too wet for it or anything. And we don't have a backup if it fails. I was thinking, well, should we put that Christmas loquat, you know, but it's in full bloom. Most likely, if it's going to produce fruit, those flowers and fruit would probably fall off of it, you know, because of the stress of transplanting. So this is the next day, and we might have discovered the mystery of what type of fig this is. So I went to some plant ID groups, and they said they think this is the Cadota, the fig Newton fig. So I let this guy ripen an extra day, and it's definitely got a little black spot there. And I touched it, and it fell off right in my hand. Definitely a light color there. Well, let's give her a taste, see if it's any different than the one that we got maybe a day earlier. Definitely mild, sweet. I think all the rain has probably kind of gave it a little bit of a watered down taste. I think the first one we had from like the last video was better. We still have a few on the tree. Hopefully they'll ripen up and we'll try them again before they get this overripe or whatever this is that just doesn't taste very pleasant. Because that's not very good at all. Check this out. This is our kefir pear fixing to bloom again. Just like that other soft sand pear. Just like those pluots reblooming. In fact, way over there, probably can't see detail, but that white thing is a fully opened kefir pear bloom. In my lifetime, can I recollect seeing several fruit trees, different types, bloom and rebloom and rebloom. At least not when it's like unrelated to some kind of frost damage or some kind of major cutback or some kind of stress on the tree causing it to go in maybe some kind of survival mode. Welcome to another garden vlog, and I kind of thought, I did like a long talk in the middle of the night on the last garden vlog, ending it because I didn't want to go outside in the middle of the night to finish it, and I wanted to kind of not wake anybody up, so I went into the music room and finished it. And I thought this morning, should I just continue it as one single garden vlog? And I said no, it's probably just going to be too long. So we're in a new day today. I sort of wanted to plant some more things on the last video, but again, we ran too long, so I really don't want to have like an hour, 2 hour garden vlog video. This thing here was the red navel orange that we air layered, and it had all those new leaves, and they just seem like they dropped off or something. Got some stems there that have gotten brown. Is it dying? It's not looking very good for sure. So we're under the chestnut tree, and my son just spotted a burr, but look how tiny the little chestnut kernel is here. These guys are tiny. Which one of y'all found that chestnut burr on the ground?
Me! I found it. Yep, Mario found it.
So this was from a third one I didn't even notice. I thought we had two. And these things are amazingly sharp. I've heard that they like kill your feet and stuff if you step on them. They are like little needles, prickly hard needles in these burrs. Would this be normal to have such a small kernel? Or is this just a fluke because maybe low pollination, a single kernel? I don't know what's in the other one that just dropped because it didn't open all the way on the tree or as it fell. So I've looked on the ground a little bit and I haven't seen any more of these burrs. That doesn't mean that one couldn't have, hit all these weeds and stuff and just got lost, or a squirrel or something might have took them off. I kind of doubt it though, because I think if there would have been like a bunch of burrs, I probably would have noticed this sooner rather than just a couple days ago. So somebody asked me, are we going to eat some chestnuts? Well, I think we're going to try to cold stratify whatever we get and try to plant them in the ground next year. See what happens, or in a pot, I should say. So American chestnuts are supposed to be pretty small. I don't know if they're that small normally, but these are supposed to be hybrids between Chinese and American. Chinese are bigger nuts. Chinese are sweeter nuts, supposedly. American chestnuts are supposed to have a richer and more nutty flavor. American chestnuts are smaller, as I said, and they're supposed to have an easy to peel, or they're supposed to be easier to peel versus Chinese chestnuts. So I guess in the ideal world, you would hybridize them. You would get the disease resistance, not immunity from the Chinese chestnut. And hopefully we would get a sweeter chestnut, a bigger chestnut, and it'd be easier to peel than a Chinese chestnut. Do the best traits always come through, or do the worst traits come out too sometimes? Because the majority of the time, these are produced through seeds, not through grafting, and they do graft them. Some people or some reports say that grafts don't always last long, or they have like a high failure rate over a short amount of years. But that doesn't mean they aren't grafted, because you can find them grafted in a variety of nurseries, and they graft chestnuts also to some types of oaks to adjust to the pH of whatever soil they're trying to grow them in. So it is pretty much dark almost, about 6:30 p.m. fall season. That's why it's dark outside. Flashes on the camera phone. And we are planting this triple grafted mulberry. It has Australian green, it has Maui, and Lakeland tropical. Been trying to find a place for it, and we decided almost all the way in the back here where a few of our other mulberries are. And there she is, all watered in. Pack it in a little bit there. And I was wanting to do this, or plant probably more than one thing today, but every time I said I need a break, I meant, I've been working, get a break, and the kids are fighting or something, and I just can't concentrate, can't do anything, breaking up fights all day with the middle and the youngest son. The oldest one somehow keeps out of most of the fights, I think. This is probably a little closer than I would normally plant, like that. What's that, the Thompson or Tice over there? I can't remember. And this guy's probably 8 to 10 foot away from it, maybe 12 foot away from that other black or whatever mulberry that is. But mulberries can be severely pruned back, and they usually bounce back. So as long as they get established that first couple seasons or so, hopefully they'll do okay. And if you have to prune them back off each other, they should take it pretty well. Well, it's been another day or two since I filmed any on this video. I got 2 small GHB avocados, Mexican cold hardy avocados. I got this Yopon holly, and I got a honey plum fig here that we're going to try to find a place to plant. For the most part, that'll be all the figs except the Ronde de Bourdeaux. Now, I also have an Emmeline's Purple, which is a backup. And for the life of me, I can't remember what happened to the original. Did it die in its pot? Did I plant it somewhere and forget about it? Or did I give it away to somebody? I don't know where the original is. So that might be planted out too. This area here, kind of in the back where my hugelkultur hybrid raised bed was originally built. Kind of in the wet area. Kind of somewhat dry over here. Then there's like a dip that gets wetter over here. Not the wettest part of the yard, but definitely not dry either. But we got shade on the east side and a little bit of sun kind of west, but also a little bit of shade too, depending on where the sun is. As you can see, there's some brightness coming through there. Part of the day it'll probably have more brightness where those clouds are. A lot of wind today. We've been getting like in the upper 40s, and I think tonight 44, 45. Tomorrow 41 Fahrenheit. So fall weather, winter weather. Yeah. But I didn't want to put something in this kind of little bit sunny, lot shady, little bit wet area that's going to have any long tap roots like mulberries or what's the other thing we planted a lot? Persimmons. So figs probably still have a pretty long taproot, but hopefully not as long as either of those guys. So I don't know. I think I'm going to do a group planting maybe. We'll see. We're either going to do like 2 trees, you know, a little bit spaced apart, or do like 2, 3, 4, 5 in this overall area maybe. So I kind of made a big deal maybe start of this season, the end of last season, about, you know, getting the Yopon holly and putting it in wetlands on one. Well, I kind of decided, at least for now, not to put one in wetlands on one. I think we're going to put it in this area. Wetlands on one isn't super accessible. It has a lot of stuff growing in it. I'd kind of like to wait till it freezes, wipe a lot of the weeds and stuff down, so I can go in there and clear stuff out and maybe figure out where we can put some other stuff. There's probably not a whole lot of room for anything that's going to grow a lot, you know, so it's going to be small things, small shrubs. And I think even these guys get like 15 foot. 15 foot is not bad compared to something that's going to get 30, 40, 50 foot though. Like American persimmon might get, you know, that tall here. I've never seen an American persimmon this far south get that big, but I know that they get pretty darn big up north. I've heard like 50, 60, maybe even more feet than that. So, and for these little avocados, we're going to do where we kind of was experimenting with those cactuses, with those like xeriscaping and stuff. You know, we had a lot die. We had a few, or still have a few, that are just tiny. So it's definitely going to be a long experiment that was just a minor experiment, you know, versus or compared to all the other projects and experiments we've done. But the good news is that these are higher up on like mounds, a big mound. So we have not, which is surprising, we have not tried to plant just these probably higher sand content, higher drainage. Can they survive the winter? Can they survive the summer? You know, hopefully they won't have to worry about wet feet here. We just did both in a little tiny hole there, same hole planting, not too worried about it. It'll either work or it won't, you know. And here is the Yopon holly, and maybe about 6-7 feet from it, we have that honey plum fig. And it is another day, and when we did the float test on the chestnuts, you know, they don't float. I mean, they float, they don't sink. As you can see, they're floating like a little boat there. That made me look up chestnuts to see if they can produce like bad nuts. And yes, they can produce burrs. They can produce these kind of wrinkled up, shriveled nuts that are unpollinated. So I guess a normal nut should be plump and nice and fat and not have those wrinkles in it. This has got me to assume that all of them are unpollinated. Is that bad news? Well, I kind of wondered how they got pollinated, since we didn't have any other mature chestnut trees around to pollinate them. So I guess it's not really bad news, because this is the first time they actually produced burrs. Is about 2 or so years after we started doing that post-mycorrhizal, aka like aged wood chip alternative bed around it. So it's happier, it's producing burrs, and all we need, I guess, is a pollinator. And we do have other chestnuts, at least like 2, I think. If they survive, it'll probably be a while before they actually produce catkins. So maybe we need to get some cutting wood or something and try to graft a few other varieties or something. I don't know. Being here where chestnut blight could be a big issue, or other diseases maybe in the southeast where it's so humid, I really don't know if there is a good long-term solution with grafting. A lot of people don't recommend grafting. So I was kind of concerned when I didn't see nuts like pushing out of that burr or husk. So I think I know now why they just weren't pollinated. so they didn't get that plumpness. So you don't see like 1 or 2 or 3 nuts like pushing out of the burr on the tree. So we get a mature burr that falls just like a chestnut, but no like pollinated nut. I wonder how many of these unpollinated ones are in this one. Looks like another single there. As you can see, it's another floater there. Look at there, 2 floaters. Well, bad news on our chestnut on chestnut graft, because the top half of this tree is dead and the bottom half is still green. And the top half is where we had this graft here. So that was a hybrid, I think, chestnut onto a seedling of some sort. I don't know what, if it's Chinese hybrid or what. All right, so we got somebody that is wanting some plants. So we got some Mexican sunflowers, the Tithonia, the big, perennial types. They get like 15, 18 foot yellow flowers, smell like honey. So we got some cuttings for them. And we're going to give this guy a Mexican avocado here. That's from this nice big pot. Thornless cactus. Red mulberry. Red fruited, not 100% red. It's probably a hybrid between Morris alba and Morris rubra. Dwarf everbearing mulberry, which we already have rooted. And a Celeste fig here. We were looking for like a Suriname cherry, but I guess I used all of them up. Or I just forgot where some more potted ones were, so I need to repot some that were underneath the original tree. We got a handful there, but I'll worry about that later. So 5, 6, 7 plants or things to root. Nice. And we're going to throw in one of these Kenaf hibiscus plants. So I got the Ronde de Bourdeaux fig here, Emmeline's purple fig, and Chiang Mai 60 mulberry, as well as the Kokuso Korean mulberry here. And I got like a Kenaf or Indian hibiscus there that just came out of the pot. So it kind of produced its own root sucker, and I'm donating that root sucker. But this is kind of big and flimsy, and I figured I'd just take that away from the other one and plant it somewhere. And this Emmeline's purple fig planted here by this camphor, where that little avocado over there is not doing so well. So that's 2 down. I actually planted that little hibiscus just in an island of something, a bunch of different things. Call it kind of like my island of miscellaneous crap. And the little kokuso Korean mulberry is there, kind of like a triangle. I have the multi-graft over there, and I don't remember if that was a Thompson or Tice or whatever there. So we got a triangle here. They're probably that guy's probably 10 foot, this guy's probably 8 foot, 9 foot away from it. So 3rd time's a charm, hopefully. This Korean mulberry, I think I tried a grafted one before. I tried a cutting grown one before. I'll just hope for the best. And the Chiang Mai 60 here is going into this bed that we were going to create for avocados. I need to add some more soil around there. But this will probably be the last time I mess with these unless we get some success. We have one that I think is still alive that just hasn't grown much in wetland zone 1. That failure of the Brazos Bell avocado back here. And, trying to get a bed started fast. Maybe avocados don't really like that. Maybe they need something that's a little more matured for another year or 2. Yeah, this is the Ronde de Bourdeaux fig, the last major planting of the season. Going in, pretty high up ground here. Some of the highest ground we have. Tiny bit shaded by this structure. But this is it. There she is. Just need to water it and I'll be done. Before we end this garden vlog, I'll just briefly say that I did some research and found that sometimes unpollinated chestnut seeds will sprout. But the almost, if not always never reach maturity before they die. They're just too weak. And I'll just address, we are taking a big risk with the Chiang Mai 60, with the Kokuso, Korean mulberries, and the Ronde de Bourdeaux figs, or fig. And, it is different than what we said, 3-6 months ago or whatever, when we said we're going to back up everything or try to. We did try to back it up. Not everything succeeded. The Ronde de Bourdeaux didn't succeed. A few others didn't succeed. So we just kind of changed our tactic and said, okay, we just, they're not getting enough growth in the pots. If they do well in the ground, they'll hopefully take off faster and give us more material to potentially root in the future. That Chiang Mai 60 mulberry, just, we tried doing it from really small cuttings because it just didn't have the girth or the growth. The Ronde de Bourdeaux, the 1 or 2 that we did, had the girth, probably the size, but just did not succeed for us. And the Chiang Mai 60, even though it's popular, even though it's a really pretty fruit when it's full of, tree when it's full of fruit, it doesn't get the best reviews. Lost Turkey is another one that, has amazing reviews in certain climates or soils or states, and bad reviews on other, areas, locations. I'm not sure what, if the soil, the minerals in the soil, the pH or something changes the flavor, but apparently climate changes the flavor. But at least one person here that is, knowledgeable as a plant specialist at UF says Lost Turkey is an awesome tree here, so we definitely need to put that on our want list, our need list. As far as the Ronde de Bourdeaux fig, it's, something that's not common here. It's common in other states, a little bit north of us, but none of the nurseries sell it. So we had to pay a pretty good premium to get that plant. Most likely, if it doesn't succeed, we'll probably not replace it. But anyway, I think that's it for this garden vlog. I haven't even uploaded our last garden vlog, and who knows when these guys are going to be uploaded and out. Take care, guys.